Christians, welcome to this Bible reflection. Today is Saturday, 16th May 2020. And the reading of today is taken from the Gospel of Jesus according to St. John. We are reading from chapter 15, verse 18 to 21. At that time, Jesus said to his disciples, "If the world hates you, know that it has hated me before it hated you. If you were of the world would love its own. But because you are not of the world, but I chose you out of the world, therefore the world hates you. Remember the word that I said to you, a servant is not greater than his master. If they persecuted me, they will persecute you. If they kept my word, they will keep your word also. But all this they will do to you on my account, because they do not know him who sent me." The Gospel of the Lord. Dear brothers and sisters, yesterday Jesus taught us the meaning of love. And today he wants to teach us about the consequences of that love. That is hatred. Maybe some of you can wonder, what is that kind of love whose consequences can be hatred? Before I proceed, let me remind you that in Johannine literature, Johannine writing, the concept of world, W-O-R-L-D, world, this concept presents an evil system controlled by forces of darkness. When you are reading the Gospel of John, whenever you find this concept of world, have in mind this system which is controlled by the forces of darkness. Now, in the today's gospel, Jesus is using the same concept. He used that concept to invoke the world, to refer to a fallen humanity. And fallen humanity. Jesus recommended us to love. That one, we know it. He recommended us to love even our enemies. My friends, I tell you, there is no deep wound when you love somebody who doesn't love you. And when you do so, you will experience the consequences of that particular kind of love, hatred. Jesus said, if you were of the world would love its own. But because you are not of the world hates you. So as Christians, you have to know that we are living in the world, but we don't belong to this world, having in mind that system controlled by the forces of darkness. It means we don't belong to the darkness. And whenever we are in that darkness will not love us. It will hate us necessarily because we are the light in that darkness. That is what Jesus says. If you were of the world would love its own. Christians, as Christians, we are living with our great enemy, the world. So, let us be consequent to experience hatred from this world. Let me present you two great men who experienced hatred to death only because they loved their master. They loved like their master. The first one is called Maximilian Kolbe. This Polish Franciscan who lived in 1894, between 1894 and 1941, and these dates, for those who are informed, remind them the Second World War, 1894-1941. This Maximilian Kolbe, he faced perhaps the most systematic form of evil when he was trying to experience that love as his master. Now, this was in 20th century. He courageously denounced the Nazism. The Nazism, this is just an ideology of the National Socialist German workers. And it is characterized by the leaders, the leaders, authorities, governments who showed a power in their leadership over the society, over the people. And this was in the years before the Second World War. Now, when Nazi troops conquered Poland, they imprisoned Kolbe in the Auschwitz concentration camp. Now, eyewitnesses testify that the guards frequently abused the frail priest in prison. They abused him, but they could never destroy his inner peace or prevent him from helping, their fellow prisoners. So, great was his love for Christ. Great was the love of Kolbe for Christ. One day, it happened that they had to deliver one prisoner from that Auschwitz concentration camp. Maximilian Kolbe, he accepted voluntarily, he took the place of that prisoner who had been condemned to death. And the Nazis executed this resolute Christian. It was in August 14, 1941. Another man is Father John Bosco. You might have heard of him. John Bosco, who lived between 1815 and 1888. This was also a priest and teacher renowned throughout Italy for his work with poor children and orphans. Yet, his kindness and generosity did not spare him from hatred and persecution. Italian politics in that period was strongly anti-Catholic, and Bosco was often belittled in the press. But he survived. It is written that Bosco survived several backbeating and so many physical attacks. Once an assassin's bullet passed right through his loose cloak, barely missing him. However, it was said that the gentle John Bosco, he never let adversity destroy his cheerful behavior in serving Christ. Now, dear fellow Christians, these two great men are a very eloquent example for us to live the gospel of today. Jesus says, all this they will do to you on my account. Now, today you should do a retrospection of your life. How often have you endured suffering and temptation on the account of your master, who is Jesus? How often? Let us imitate our master. In fact, by imitating Jesus Christ, who is self-sacrifice, we serve as living sacrament, a sign that the Lord of life is truly risen and has overcome the darkness of this world. Let us imitate these great two men, Maximilian Kolbe and Father John Bosco, and thus we'll understand how we have to endure suffering and temptation for the great glory of our Master Jesus Christ. The Lord be with you.